What would you do with a brain if you had one?
I would dance and be merry. Life would be a ding-a-dairy if I only had a brain.
Life's more painless for the brainless. Why think too hard when it's so soon?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic transformations in Wicked, Fiero's metamorphosis into, spoiler alert, the Scarecrow. If you've ever wondered what happened to Fyero in Gregory Maguire's novel versus the Broadway musical, then you're in the right place. The two versions are actually quite different, so let's break it down. But before we do, we're going to take a closer look at the relationships that shape Fiero's journey.
Fiero.
Oh, Oz.
Especially with Elphaba and Glinda, and how these connections influence his transformation. And since it's the holiday season, we will be wrapping up with some warm wishes for the holiday and New Year, so be sure to stick around for that. Alright, first let's start with the musical. In the Broadway show, Fiero is a handsome and somewhat aloof prince with a complicated relationship with Elphaba. Throughout the story, his emotions evolve, from initially being a love interest to Glinda, to being a true love interest of Elphaba, to eventually becoming the Scarecrow. His bond with Elphaba is raw and real, even if it's not always easy. But then there's his relationship with Glinda, the bubbly, popular girl who, at first, is really only concerned with appearances rather than trying to understand who Fiero really is, contrary to Elphaba. And Glinda's feelings for him are obvious from the start. But as the story unfolds, she slowly starts to realize that love isn't about always being the center of attention. It's about being true to yourself and being true to the ones you actually care about. Elphaba.
Somehow I fall under your spell, and somehow I'm feeling something that I found. Never leave romance as long as you're mine.
In the musical, Fiero's transformation happens at a pivotal moment in the second act. After being captured by the wizard's forces, Fiero's body is literally turned into a scarecrow as a result of Elphaba's magic when she tries to rescue him. The curse is irreversible. At this point, we see how deeply Elphaba's love for Fiero has led her to this tragic, irreversible action. But let's not forget about Glinda. Her feelings for Fiero also shift, and she too must come to terms with the fact that sometimes the ones we love don't always end up with us. And love, like everything else in Oz, is complicated. Now let's look at Fiero's fate in Gregory Maguire's novel, Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, which is a lot darker and a lot more complex. In the novel, Fiero's character is far more layered. He's not just a prince or a love interest, he's a nobleman, deeply entangled in the political drama of Oz. His connection with Elphaba is still there, but it's not the central force. What's fascinating is how his relationship with both Elphaba and Glinda evolve. In the novel, Fiero's feelings for Glinda aren't quite as clear-cut. While there still is some affection, it's really his relationship with Elphaba that drives his actions, especially when it comes to his ultimate fate. In the novel, after Fiero is murdered by the wizard soldiers in a brutal political plot, his body is left in a field. This is a direct reference to his transformation, but not in the magical musical sense that we see on stage. His body is left in a scarecrow-like pose propped up by the soldiers. And when Elphaba finds him later, she sees him in this grotesque, lifeless state. In this moment, Elphaba is struck by the reality of his death. It's not just the loss of a lover, but the realization of the deep political cost of oppression and the violence that pervades Oz. Meanwhile, Glinda is left to wrestle with her own role in all of this. It's a loss for both women in different ways as they each have to come to terms with their place in Fiero's life and death. So what does all this mean for the character? Well, in the musical, Fiero's transformation is a much more magical, emotional moment. It's tragic, but it carries a sense of fantasy, a kind of bittersweet romance. But in the book, Fiero's fate is much darker, with his Scarecrow image symbolizing the cruelty and corruption of the political system in Oz. While both versions are tragic, the musical focuses more on the unconditional love and sacrifice of it all, especially seeing things through the lens of Elphaba's love for Fyero and the conflict that brings with Glinda. The novel, on the other hand, emphasizes the brutality of power and how even those who believe they can escape it ultimately get caught up in its web. So, which version of Fiero's transformation do you prefer? Do you like the magical, bittersweet ending from the musical? Or do you find the darker, more politically charged symbolism from the book more compelling? Let me know in the comments below. And as we wrap up this year, I just want to take a moment to wish all of you a wonderful holiday season. Whether you're spending it with loved ones or taking this time for yourself, may this time of year bring you joy, peace, and reflection. Happy holidays, and here's to a happy new year. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on one of our deep dives into all things Wicked and other stories too. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I love you guys so much, and I want you to be even more yourself.